A man flatlines in a hospital in New York. Doctors rush in. For the next 45 minutes, there is no heartbeat, no breathing. By every medical definition, he is dead. Then they bring him back, and when he opens his eyes, he tells them something that stops the room cold. He describes watching the doctors work on his body from above. He repeats back words that were spoken while he was clinically dead, words he should have had no way of hearing. The doctors don't know what to say, because according to everything we understand about the brain, none of that should be possible. So what actually happens in the seconds after you die? Science has been quietly investigating this for decades, and what they've found is stranger than anyone expected. First, let's clear something up. Death is not a moment, it's a process. When your heart stops, you don't just cease to exist. What follows is a sequence of events: biological, electrical, chemical, unfolding over minutes, sometimes hours. The medical term for what most people call death is cardiac arrest. Your heart stops pumping, blood stops flowing. Within about 20 seconds, your brain runs out of oxygen. You lose consciousness. Your body goes still. But here's what almost nobody talks about. The brain doesn't just shut off, like a light switch. Something else happens first. In 2024, researchers at the University of Michigan published findings that genuinely shocked the neuroscience world. They were monitoring 4 patients who were being removed from life support. All of them were dying. And as their hearts stopped, the EEG machines, the devices tracking electrical brain activity, recorded something nobody expected. 2 of the patients showed a massive surge of brain activity in the moments right after life support was removed. Not a slowdown, not a flatline, a surge before the final silence. There was a 30-second spike of high-frequency gamma waves, the same waves your brain produces during memory, during dreaming, during complex thought. Gamma waves are what your brain produces when you're intensely focused, when you're recalling a vivid memory, when you're experiencing something real and meaningful. Your dying brain, in its final moments, appears to light up like a firework. Now here's where it gets deeply strange. People who have been brought back from cardiac arrest, people who were clinically dead and then resuscitated, often describe something remarkable. Researchers call it a near-death experience, or NDE. And across cultures, across centuries, across people who have never met each other, never read each other's accounts, the descriptions are almost identical. A feeling of leaving the body, watching the scene from above, moving through a tunnel of light, encountering deceased relatives. A life review, seeing your entire life play back in vivid detail, in what feels like seconds. For a long time, scientists dismissed these accounts. Hallucinations, they said. Oxygen deprivation. The brain misfiring. But then, the studies started coming in. Dr. Sam Parnia of NYU Langone Health ran the largest study of its kind, the AWARE-2 study, examining consciousness and awareness during cardiac arrest across 25 hospitals. What he found challenged everything. The study identified conscious and cognitive activity in cardiac arrest patients who, by all medical measures, should have had zero brain function. Some patients recalled specific conversations that happened while they were flatlined. Details of medical procedures performed on their unconscious bodies, things they could not have known. Parnia described these experiences as a glimpse into a real, yet little understood, dimension of human consciousness that becomes uncovered with death. Of all the things people describe, one stands out above everything else: the life review. Person after person, from different countries, different religions, different backgrounds, describes the same thing. In the moments of death, their entire life plays back before them. Not like watching a movie, like reliving it. Every moment felt real. Every sensation returned. Dr. Jima Borjajan, who led the University of Michigan brain study, found that areas of the brain related to memory become extremely active right before death, directly matching what survivors describe. She said, "Your eyes aren't open. Your family isn't in front of you, but somehow, something triggers a cascade of events that leads to total memory recall." Think about that. Your brain, in its final seconds, may be replaying everything you ever experienced, every person you loved, every moment that mattered, at full intensity. These aren't people who had vague dreams. They come back transformed, changed at the core. Here's the part that keeps scientists up at night. The standard explanation for NDEs is simple. It's all in the brain. Oxygen deprivation causes hallucinations. The dying brain creates comforting illusions. It's biology, not mystery. And that might be true. But there's a problem with that explanation. When the brain completely shuts down, consciousness should be extinguished along with it. No blood flow, no oxygen, no brain activity, no experience. But that's not what the data is showing. People are reporting coherent, structured, vivid experiences during the exact window when their brains should be producing nothing at all. Parnia and his team suggested that death may cause a kind of disinhibition in the brain, activating dormant circuits that could give access to new dimensions of reality. New dimensions of reality. That's not a spiritual teacher saying that, that's a medical doctor, publishing in a peer-reviewed journal, after years of clinical research. So what do we actually know? We know the brain surges with activity at the moment of death. We know that activity is concentrated in regions linked to memory and consciousness. We know that people resuscitated from cardiac arrest report structured vivid experiences that match each other across cultures and centuries. And we know that some of those people recall accurate details about events that happened while they were clinically dead. What we don't know is what any of it means. Is it just the brain creating one final story before the lights go out? Is it something else, some dimension of experience that we don't yet have the language or the tools to understand? Science hasn't answered that question, not yet. But here's what I keep coming back to. Every single person who has gone through this and come back says the same thing. It didn't feel like a hallucination. It didn't feel like a dream. It felt more real than real life, more vivid, more meaningful, like being fully awake for the very first time. And then they woke up here, and they were never quite the same again. Maybe that means nothing. Maybe the dying brain is just very good at telling stories. Or maybe, just maybe, the last thing your mind does before it lets go is show you everything that mattered. And maybe that's enough.